Hello, Twitter world. Hello. Right, I haven't done a video in months and months. Uh, just thought I'd do one to end the year. I remember I did one at the start of the year, and I was like, um, when I was 22, it started, and when I'm 22, or in 2022, it'll end. But then I had a relapse, and I was like, well, it fucking didn't last very long. But I'm actually starting to think, based on this year, that I was actually sort of true, because I am clean now. I was just watching one of my other videos and it was similar to this, and I actually used that day. I forgot all about this. I just read the description and it was like later I went and used. I think I took a lot of these videos down as I normally do, but yeah, no, I'm not feeling like that today. I'm pretty sure I'll never use again, but I've felt that way loads of times. You just get sick of it. Now, I'm still sort of half keeping the possibility of using, well, when I say using, I mean using heroin, not anything else, I am off weed for a long time. I actually smoked weed there a couple of weeks ago and I was like, fuck, this is shite. But yeah, I still would take diazepam, which is known by the addiction clinic. They don't say nothing about diazepam, and they know I'm not prescribed it as well. I have switched. I'm not on Suboxone now. I'm on this Esprenor, which is the same thing. It's just sort of they're trying to switch everyone onto this stuff. I actually asked to be switched to this. But the reason I asked was because it's sort of stronger, but at the same time, it's not stronger, to be honest. Like at the start, maybe it's a wee bit stronger, and then you adjust to the new dose, and it's the same. But also, this isn't why I asked to switch, but you can't really sell these the way that I could with Suboxone, so it gets rid of a lot of nuisance people. People don't really chase these ones as much because the ones I was on Suboxone, you could crush them up and snort them, but you can't with that. You can dissolve this one in water and, I don't know, snort that or something, but it's not, no one really does that. So I get a lot less, people looking those. Still one or two would ask me, but I've noticed they're not fucking hounding me the way I used to be hounded. Although, to be honest, I wasn't really being hounded. I just never answer the phone. So people tend to, keep trying. But if I had answered once and was like, no, I don't have any, I wouldn't have been getting called all the time. Sort of snowballs that when you don't answer the phone, you just sort of, people just keep ringing. But no, that's not what I mean. When you don't answer the phone, you sort of get used to not answering the phone, and then to answer the phone is a challenge. So I went through a lot of changes this year, in terms of, I actually went quite hard on the drug for a while again. I sort of got it all out of my system. That's why I'm saying it's sort of funny that I said it starts in 2022 and in 2022 it ends. Because it sort of did, or has ended. But the main triggers were two separate occasions. I got the shingles after using in the summer. And obviously I didn't admit that I was using. I'm sure the doctor would have said that was why, but the main reason was they were saying, well, your immune system dropped, and then the chickenpox from when you were a child has reactivated. Although I was always certain I never had chickenpox as a child, but who gives a fuck anyway. But yeah, so I got the shingles. That was horrible. I was sick for about 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I was on antibiotics for that. I didn't get to spend time with a lot of people over that time. So that was shit. I was like, fuck, maybe I'll never use it again after this. But then I did start using it again. I can't remember. I never documented any of this, so it just sort of was happening. Um, Partly because of the diazepam. I was sort of running in circles where I would see people and, sort them out with diazepam. Like, not sort them out, but like help them get diazepam, and then by doing that, we would end up deciding to use. Then I started to go through a phase of taking coke by smoking it. So sort of a lot of pure cocaine going about. So pure, not fully pure, but it's pure enough that you can smoke it. Just by mixing it with water and bicarb. But yeah, I got really into that for a few weeks, for maybe a month or two. And I was like, fuck, this is starting to become addictive, very quick. It's very addictive while you're doing it, but then afterwards you're like, fuck that, I'm not doing that anymore. And then the next week you're like, well, you know what, I could do that. So I was doing that for a while, and it was showing up in the urine samples. So they were like, well, what's all this cocaine showing up? And I'm like, I've just been sort of doing cocaine by myself. And they were sort of worried about that, so I agreed to knock that on the head. But during this time, I was also using heroin a lot more. Basically, I got close to a fella I known for years, about over a decade or so. He was selling it, so I had a sort of good, easy supply coming there, where I was able to use, at the drop of a hat. And also, the main trigger behind this was these tablets. They put me on like unsupervised doses. So basically every Tuesday and Thursday I could relapse. So I started relapsing like once a week for a few months. So it got very heavy again. Not very heavy, but a lot heavier than I've been used to, because I've been supervised taking my Suboxone for years now. Fucking 8 years. It's actually over 8 years. It's scary how long, how fast the times went by and how little I've got achieved in that time. If anything, I've achieved less and less, but I've made a lot of good changes in the past month. I've probably been clean now off of heroin over a month, I would say. I don't know the exact amount of time, but it has to be longer than a month. A lot of the times when I sort of feel that way, it is about 3 weeks or a month, but it's definitely more than 3 weeks, I would assume. But by no stretch of the imagination do I think that that's a long period of clean time, but it is sort of average, better than average. So I just have a different mindset now. I don't want to use. But the second thing that happened that made me want to stop using altogether was a bit like the shingles. I've had this rash over my head, all along my hairline, for about a year or 2 years maybe, and then it goes all down here and all down there, and then in my moustache. So I was taking cream for that, and wasn't doing anything. It was actually burning my face and making the rash worse. It was like aggravating the rash. But eventually I got that. I got a good picture of it and sent that into the doctor, because they don't see you anymore after coronavirus. But she basically said it's this skin condition. She didn't tell me that you never get rid of this skin condition, but I found that out online. Like you'll have it for the rest of your life. It's like a dermatitis. So, and she said it's caused by bacterial, something to do with bacterial. But I'm pretty convinced that the using was causing that. Also the lack of showering, like I wasn't getting washed properly every day. But now I wash every single day, which is brilliant for me, because I haven't done that for years and years. But anyway, I'm just making a cup of tea here. Yeah, so I've started washing recently. The next thing I'm going to do is start looking after my teeth. It looks like I have good teeth, but it's like sort of a good metaphor for my life. Like, um, it's like the outside sort of, seem normal, but if you dig a little deeper, there's a lot of decay. But yeah, I'm missing teeth all luckily up around the back, but I've got like constant, like just plaque, building up, and I'm finding it really hard to brush my teeth. But the showering as well, getting washed, is very hard for me to adjust to. I must be about over 2 weeks. Actually, it'll be 3 weeks tomorrow that I've started doing that showering every day. So yeah, um, it is a pain. Some days I'm still struggling heavily getting up, waking up in the morning. Like I'll wake up and then I'll just struggle for hours to actually get up. The cold isn't helping. The weather. Now, this is the first year that, well, maybe every year it's like this, but I'm truly feeling the cold this year. But yeah, so basically, I started just to see this year that, I don't want to, die of an overdose someday. And also, what made me think that that rash was coming from using the skin conditions were dermatitis, that's what it's called. But what made me think that came from my using was every time I would inject, like, I knew that straight after I had to rush to the sink. Preferably, I would be in the shower and turn the cold water on, because I would do a lot of my using in the bathroom with the shower, because basically warm water would make my veins come up, but I would have to sort of be in the shower, dry off a bit, and tie my arm up and things, and the veins you could get them up. It's the reason I'm not wanting to use. I haven't even looked at my veins in months. Haven't been curious about them. I have a few blown veins here, but all my using was primarily done here, like in my wrists. I could go on a spiel about that. Just like at night time, getting to sleep is horrible. I would sort of half fall asleep and I wake up and my arms would be numb. Like literally no feeling in them at all. Next thing I need to do is stop smoking, because I'm starting to cough up blood. Not seriously cough up blood, but I'll wake up in the morning and my throat will be very rough. I'll spit and there'll be sometimes, very rarely, there'll be red in my spit. I don't want to make it seem like I'm fucking hawking up, uh, rivers of blood every day. I think it's these fucking roadies, because you have to keep fucking sucking the life out of them to get them to stay lit. But yeah, fuck, I can't remember what I was talking about. But yeah, I was using, and I would have to rush over, because as soon as the stuff went into my blood, basically I would feel it enter my head, and my whole head would feel like it was about to explode. And the feeling I have sort of looked like what that rash was, just fucking blood rushing to the skin surface as if it wanted to just shoot out of the skin. It was like injecting pins into your bloodstream, which is ironic because you use a pin to put it there, but it was like your blood's trying to jump out of your body. Now I think that's what the drugs mixed with, because that wasn't always the case. That didn't always happen. It has happened now for years, but it usually happens with the strongest gear, the gear that gets you the most drowsy. that puts you into sleep like a fog, the nod. But yeah, I used to have to smoke weed with every time I would use in order to get a nod going, because that's what the most enjoyable thing is. But now, well, I say now, then this year when I use it, I didn't need that. I could do it without weed. Smoking a cigarette would bring on the nod. But yeah, I just started to see all this as undesirable, and usually when I did these videos, I would use shortly after, because talking about it would make me crave it. But now I don't really crave the feeling at all. I'm sort of used to it. I wrote there's this YouTuber I was watching, and she was a heroin addict, and she was talking about how depressed and all she is. So I wrote in the comments saying, like, the reason you're so depressed is because you're used to feeling heroin. But you should look at it like you felt the best thing you can ever feel, and you've realised that it's shit. So, you know, you are going to be depressed, but just sort of get used to the fact that you're depressed, and you won't be. Stop talking about being depressed. Because I've been depressed for years and years. But I just don't care about it anymore at the minute, anyway. And today, I'm not overly happy today. Like, I'm just sort of surviving at the minute. The cold is really getting to me. I'm fucking sick of this country. That's why if we ever went to war with Russia, we'd be fucked, because they can handle the cold, so they're fucking hard people, you know. I hate the cold. And you can tell by my complexion, I don't get much sunlight. So, if I was in it, I'd probably fucking hate the heat. But anyway, I was a wee bit nervous doing this video, because I sort of have been getting nervous recently, just remembering that this channel exists. It's not the YouTube account that I would use. I have another one that I put my music on. And talking about the music, I'm starting to do a lot more. Well, that was one problem I was having with being clean, that I wouldn't want to play music at all. And now I'm forcing myself every Tuesday to go to this wee jam session where everyone shares their songs. So I've been doing that ever since I got clean, this most recent period of clean time. So that's all I've been living for at the minute, and when I'm by myself. But it is quite a big commitment, because it's every week, and I would drink alcohol at it, but I drive as well, so I'm only drinking enough that I'm not over the limit. Basically, I have 2 pints every time, and I'm there for about 5 hours, so I'll have a pint when I get there, and then I'll have a pint like an hour before I leave. But the reason I'm able to go to that, normally I can't, because I do sort of have like anxiety, which I'm sick of talking about. But the only way I can go to that is by taking diazepam and Lyrica pregabalin. So that's not really very good, to be honest. I want to sort of get to the stage where I don't need pregabalin. But you know, I'm not there yet. I think the more I take pregabalin, the more I'll need it as well. But I am only taking it one night a week, although there's another jam session now on a Wednesday in a different bar. So that's, as of last week, that's went up to twice a week that I use pregabalin, which isn't great. Especially so it's basically Tuesday and Wednesday night I would use pregabalin. Then I find on Thursday I'm quite low, because of, you know, I'm sober, I'm sober anyway, but I'm sober those days, like no drugs at all. And then I'm using a lot less, and I don't use anything on the other days. So basically my weekends now are Tuesday and Wednesday. But yeah, I was saying about I was nervous to do this video because I'm just nervous at the fact that this channel is out there. I'm meaning to go on to all the videos and make them, private, because there is a lot of, uh, stuff I wouldn't want people who I know to see. I don't want anyone to see this video that I know, because it is embarrassing to talk about all this, but I just thought I'll say all this because I'm not really speaking to anybody at the minute, so it's the first lot of words that I've said today, apart from talking to the pharmacist, because I still go to the pharmacy Monday, Wednesday and Friday. I changed pharmacy as well, so I'm in a new pharmacy, and I don't really know the people there. It's not the same sort of like environment. The old pharmacy I've been going to for years, so I knew the people working there pretty well. Well, I knew them to talk to. But now I just talked to the one pharmacist in this new one, and it's just a short conversation because these tablets dissolve within a minute. So it's basically I go there. It's a long waiting there as well, so I go and I'm sitting in the waiting area for about 5 or 10 minutes. Then I'm in for a minute, taking my tablets, have a short conversation, and then I go. That's the extent of my socialising at the minute. And of course I go to the bar on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now normally for an addict you shouldn't really go to a bar, but I've never had an issue with, I have in the past before heroin, but now that I've been coming off the opiates, I don't really get addicted to anything else. Even the pregabalin and the diazepam, they're basically taken just to, stop the anxiety of, the social anxiety that I have. But yeah, that's probably enough for this video. I'll probably not do another one now for the rest of the year, but I just wanted to really say that my initial prediction of I was 22 when I started this drug, and in 2022 it ends. It is sort of going to be the year that it ends. I'm confident that I'll not use heroin ever again, and this year has been a bit of a bad year in terms of I was using quite a lot. Mostly because it changes to my, routine, and when it comes to taking the substitute Suboxone, which is now Espinor, which is just the same drug, just the different. I don't know. You take it differently. But yeah, one other thing, the dealer who I was talking about, he died. The fella who was getting me sorted, and I'd given him some diazepam like the night before he died. So I was a wee bit, worried about that, just wondering if I caused that. But it wasn't like I was pushing him to take the diazepam. He was pestering me to give him diazepam. I basically went up, swapped the diazepam for his heroin, and the next day I found out that he died. But I think he killed himself, which is a shame. I knew him for years, but we weren't really close. We were just sort of buddies when it came to taking drugs, sorting each other out. But he was a drug dealer. I'm not a drug dealer. I just sort of was able to get a drug that he wanted. He was selling a drug that I wanted, so there was sort of a mutual reason for us to talk. Plus I drive, so it's always valuable if you're driving when you're in those sort of circles. But now since he died, I've been using a lot less. Not because of that, obviously, it was because of the reasons I mentioned with my health. Um, but yeah, I'm just trying to find a way forward now. I don't know if doing this video was smart, but I don't really feel better. If anything, I feel a bit more anxious than I did. I wasn't even feeling anxious. I just thought, oh, I'll do a wee update here, see how it goes. But yeah, that'll probably be it for a while from me. And again, if anyone locally watches this, don't tell me you've watched it, and don't share it with anyone, please. So there you go. Please don't like, don't subscribe, and don't comment. Thank you.